Congratulations, Jose. We saw the show last night and we thoroughly enjoyed it. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, and this is Ruben Nepales, by the way, with Rappler with Jose Llana. It has been almost a decade since I saw you as Marcos in the off-Broadway production. How have the years made you grow as a performer that maybe impacted the way you perform as an actor and also in your approach towards playing Marcos?
Well, I think a lot of life has happened in the last 10 years. I'll speak personally for myself. When you go from your mid 30s to your mid 40s, a lot of life happens. I think, and also since then, I've played the King and the King and I with Lincoln Center and toured around the country. I think I this time around playing Marcos, there's a lot of life that I'm able to put into playing him and the leadership and kind of the stamina that it takes to do this show running around for an hour and a half. But I think most importantly, I think the world has shifted since we put on this show. There's been a lot of different political regimes that have come into play, not just in the Philippines, but here in America as well, and in the UK. And I think acknowledging that democracy and truth and the freedom of the press is not always guaranteed, and that it can be very fragile. It makes me acknowledge that putting on our play now is even more relevant than it was 10 years ago.
And following up on that, you dedicate your performance to your parents and your sister or ate who
Yeah,
came to the States to escape martial law,
yeah.
and to the thousands of lives lost before the people power revolution.
Yes.
Has this story taken a deep resonance with you, especially as you have grown as a person over the years?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I signed on to this show, the first workshop in 2011, it was the first time that I acknowledged that, is this something we want to tell? Am I emotionally ready to explore this story? Do I want to play Marcos? Do I want to play the person who is responsible for us leaving the country and immigrating to the States? But in these 10 years, 12 years since that first workshop, my family and my mom and dad and my sister, my Ate Piji and I, we've talked a lot about our experiences, and we've talked a lot about what it means to be a Filipino American. My mom and dad raised my Ate and me with a real understanding of why we left, with a real understanding of activism, to be involved, to understand our history, to learn about our history, and to acknowledge, to learn the truth of our history. And so when they come to opening night, which is when they're coming to see the show, and they're going to come numerous times, but they're going to be there for opening night. This show's coming to Broadway is just as much a part of their journey as it is mine. It's a very personal journey for anyone who's lived through the martial law regime and moved to America because they've moved, not just America, but I have relatives who moved to Australia because of martial law, or moved to the UK, or and life was hard. One of my ninangs was arrested. Because she was a journalist, and she was gone for a couple of months. And my mom and dad were very much a part of the first quarter storm. And I think they were in college between 65 and 69, so they were specifically part of that generation of young activists who were on the Mendiola Bridge. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were there. So I think it's really important for me to honor their histories and honor my parents and honor my ate, to tell the truth about martial law, and to give our people an opportunity to remember their history so that we don't repeat the mistakes that were made before.
Speaking of remembering, how important is Sheila's love as a reminder of the Marcos years, especially amid the charges that there are attempts now to rewrite or revise those chapters in our history?
So important. So important. I think, I don't want to get too political, because I want to always, I'm constantly reminding myself that we are a show, and we are trying to have a good time, and we're trying to show people a good time. But we kind of call ourselves a Trojan horse, where you come to the dance party, you dance around, but inside that Trojan horse is a message and a story. and an acknowledgement that good things happened first and then bad things happened later. And I think there's the power of social media in the past 10 years in the Philippines has really put truth at a real precipice. Like people are rewriting, they're calling the martial law years like the glory days. You know, if you call the glory days of billions of dollars being stolen and lives being lost and civil liberties being taken away and people disappearing and murder, that's not the glory time of the Philippines, you know. And I think the frustration people feel with the politics in the Philippines leads to a lot of people just ducking their heads in the sand, and social media is a big part of that. Which is why, like, you know, reading, for my research, I didn't just read a lot of the Marcos biographies and a lot of his personal diaries, but Maria Ressa and her books about how to stand up to a dictator really acknowledges where the Philippines is today and why social media is playing a big part in people forgetting the history of martial law and not being able to learn from the mistakes in the past.
Yay to Maria Ressa, my
Hey, Maria
publisher
Ressa
in
and Rappler,
Rappler.
you know,
My
man.
big boss.
Yeah, I mean, which is why when I knew that I was speaking to you and that for Rappler, like I am don't tell the cast, but I'm going to give the book as an opening night present to everybody in the company. It's to Filipino Americans and just to anyone interested in politics and anyone interested in the current political regime in the Philippines. That book is such a primer in understanding where we are today and how it got there. And it was so educational for me to understand where we are and how we got here.
Thank you on behalf of Rappler. Thank you very much. And my next question is, I hope you have fun with this because this might be my last question. Way up in the mezzanine, we enjoy your performance as well as looking at how you are buff. So how do you keep buff for this role? Especially, I'm sure you're in front of Filipino food these days. How tempting is that, or how bad is that for you?
Well, let me tell you, I know, having played the part 10 years ago, I knew exactly what I had in store. Like, and, we all have lived through COVID, and I got my way through COVID with a lot of steaks, tequila, and Filipino food. So, when I found out that the show was finally happening, I had about 30 pounds to lose, COVID weight. And it's really hard when you start rehearsal with a Filipino company, and it was my birthday the first week of rehearsal in May, and I catered a big birthday party for the cast with a lot of Filipino food from Tradicion, which is a Filipino restaurant. It's hard, but I knew that I had that costume to look forward to. It's a great moment in the show. And I think also it got me to really be getting in a healthier way than most of us did in COVID. It got me back in my game. And listen, if anything, it's historically accurate that Marcos liked to lift weights and show off his bare chested weightlifting in publicity photos. So it's me just playing my character.
And quickly, what does Ariel Jacobs bring to the role of Imelda?
Oh my gosh, she brings so much grace and that voice, and I think she's completely ready for her moment. She carries this show with such fortitude and with absolute strength and stamina. She's pretty much on stage the entire show. And not just that, but she's kind, and we have so much fun on stage every night.
Thank you so much, Jose, and we hope to see the show again.
Great, and come on the dance floor next time, because there's so many different places to watch the show, and even in the gallery seats, it's a great show from every angle.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again.
Thank you.